We had fids in the last week in the IPL. Some fabulous batting from Tilak Varma. We had Abhishek Sharma showing some good form with his 100. Sanju Samson with his second 100 of the season, fifth in his IPL career. And then Sanju Sudarshan hit 100 as well for GT. Amongst those four, what was your favorite 100?
I had to be from the debutant of the El Clasico, Sanju Samson. His first El Clasico at Wankhede. We all know how big that game is. And we all know how big of a purchase he was for them this year. And he showed up. He was obviously struggling in the beginning of the year, but again, two big knocks, and this one especially against Mumbai to basically win and give Mumbai their biggest defeat in IPL history. Come on, it has to be the Sanjay Samson innings.
I'm going to go with Tilak Varma on this one. His innings was phenomenal. There was a point in his innings where there was 4 overs left in Mumbai's innings. He was batting at just a little bit over a run a ball. He was at 37. He went from 37 to 101 in the last 4 overs of that innings. I think that says a lot about his ability to change gears and his ability to hit the ball wherever he wants to.
You know, fair. It's good to see him getting some form as well. You know, his lineup was order was changing up here and there, but good to see that form. And to your point, as you mentioned earlier, 4 big 100s from 4 Indian players. That's a great shout. Now, on the front of Mumbai, our key bowler, the best bowler in the world, has finally cracked through and got his first wicket in the IPL. Crazy thing to say, but Bumrah's finally in the books.
Finally got his wicket columns a number that is not zero. That's good to see. And it was in such a dramatic fashion. First ball of that innings that he bowled. It was against GT and he got a wicket first ball. I think it was Sai Sudarshan who just like kind of like tapped it to point and got his first wicket off the season. It just feels so strange saying that. But I'm happy for him and he's taken 2 more wickets since, so more wickets to come hopefully.
Hopefully, and hopefully that turns Mumbai's fortunes around. We saw some really interesting games this week, especially a low scoring defending thriller. Rajasthan really defending against LSG, Tron.
Yeah, for once we didn't see a 200 plus score. It was a change with RR sort of huffing and puffing their way to 159. We've talked about their middle order issues in the past. They somehow made it to 159. Jadu, I think, played a rear at the end there, just got them to that score, 150 plus. And then their bowling. We've talked about their bowling. We've talked about Archer and Nandre Berger. They're looking to be a lethal combination at the start. I think they bowled 3 overs each straight and the entire power play, and LSG just couldn't get it together. They lost wickets in a heap at the start, and they couldn't recover since.
Yeah, and it's actually very nice, very interesting to see Ravi Bishnoi, who was not retained by LSG. His celebration after the wicket, he looks over at their dugout, he gives one of that sign because hey, this remember the other spinner is the one who got retained over him. So it's nice to see that from Ravi Bishnoi, knowing that this was a big game and he was able to get some wickets.
We also saw the King back to his usual ways of anchoring another chase. He did that against, I think it was GT. Yes, it was GT. Anchored the chase. It was a classic Kohli innings again, where he started off in his typical fashion, puts together a partnership, and then just took off towards the end. Looked good for 100.
Yeah, but hey, I'll take a little salt to the word anchor there. I thought he played very fast as well. 84 strike rate, 81 runs, 44 balls. From someone who's retired from this format internationally, it seems like he's in great touch. It's great to see Kohli not only in that game, but just so far in this entire IPL, he's been in the runs.
All right, for those of you who don't know who we are, welcome back to the In Between Overs podcast. We're your host for the day's play. I'm Taran.
And I'm Ishan.
Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel.
Now,
Okay, so we got a topic to talk about. The team that's looking phenomenal this season is Punjab, and I know you're excited to talk about them. They've been dominating. They don't look like they have a weakness in their team. They have a strong batting unit. Everyone seems to be firing, and their bowling attack looks to be the best as well. So I know you have a lot to say about them, the Punjab Kings.
top of the table, did not miss a beat from the last final last season, only drawing a game due to the weather, and that too against Kolkata. But let's be real, that game was probably in the books as well. It seems like Shreyas Iyer and his men have really, have a steady ship. It does also seem like the locker room is in good spirits. You saw, Shashank Singh drop a few catches in a game, and he's acting all shy and funny around Ricky Ponting. So it's nice to see that there is camaraderie within the dressing room, and it's showing on the field as well. You've had great batting, some bowlers coming in as well, picking up wickets as required. It does seem like Punjab is probably one of those few teams that have their players in the right positions and people are all firing at all cylinders. I still think that I called what I called at the beginning of our IPL segments this season for us. I think Punjab is poised to lift the cup, and I'm very happy, and I really hope they do.
So you don't think there's any weakness in Punjab's team at all?
Where's the weakness? We still have our bench who's I think Lockie Ferguson still hasn't played. We still have a few people who is still on the bench. I feel like the way Shreyas Iyer is playing, and we've seen this, and we've seen a lot of commentators speak on it as well. Whatever flaws he has, whatever adjustments he needs to make, whatever gear he needs to be in, he's been doing that, and he's getting a lot of help from the top as well with Prince Brian Sharia, with Cooper Connolly. I do think Punjab is poised to really, go for a long run this tournament.
How do you feel about the middle lower order? No concerns around Marcus Stoinis, Nehal Wadera, Shashank Singh. They haven't got a lot of time in the middle. When they have, they've put up decent cameos here and there, but they haven't really been tested like that. If you see the games, one of their top three has generally been playing well. So no concerns about the middle.
No, I see what you mean, and like obviously there's a few teams that fall into that bucket as well. But I think the way that the top three, top four are batting, they're playing proper cricketing shots, and it does seem like, especially even the middle order as well, you have that experience with Stoinis. Wadera is able to go up the gears as well. So maybe I do understand. I do see the point of them being shy of maybe game time experience this season. But hey, let's not forget IPL is a long tournament. Games will come on. I do hope that the lower middle order gets tested before the playoffs. But I do think that it's really of no concern just the way that they're batting from the top.
Yeah, and they're the only team in the IPL that hasn't lost right now. Do you see a loss coming anytime soon? I mean, they gotta lose one of their games. The last thing you want is losing in the playoffs.
I know, and that's always what we talk about law of averages and whatnot. I know there's a big game coming up this weekend against Delhi in Delhi. We know how Delhi can be. Is one of those teams that could literally like flip the script, or the wicket being a little sticky. Use that to their advantage. That could be a tough game. But I do still feel that they may get a loss here and there, but I do think that in the playoffs, especially what happened last year, Punjab will definitely look to redeem itself and definitely elevate themselves. Let's not forget, Ricky Ponting is their coach. So he runs a tight ship. We know how he is as a leader. And I really think the way that his approach to the game is being streamed down through Shreyas Iyer to the other players as well. So I do think this is a championship team for sure.
Yeah, looking at the other teams, like I'm trying to find teams that could challenge Punjab Kings successfully. And so far, I would say RCB is the closest challenger, no point, no pun intended. But they seem to have that bowling attack that can stymie the run flow from the Punjab Kings. If you look at RCB's bowling attack with Hazelwood at the top, it looks like he's playing all the games now. I know there was one game that the first game he played, and I think he got rested again just to get his load back up. But he seems to be playing all the games now. And Bhuvi's been in pretty good form. Kunal Pandya's been doing his thing. So they seem to have a rounded attack. Their fourth or fifth bowling option is also questionable. That's where I see Punjab Kings bowling attack to be way better, because they have five out and out bowlers, and their sixth bowler is questionable, which you would take. That's how you want to set up a team where you have five out and out bowlers. The thing about Punjab Kings versus RCB right now is that fifth bowler, because I think it's Vaishak. Vaishak definitely in right now is doing better than, I believe it's Rasik Dar. That is the third seaming option, I think, on the Bangalore team, and he's been doing well off late as well. So that's where, they always say bowlers are the ones that win championships and trophies, right? And that's why I'm looking at the bowling attack. Well, if you look at all the other bowling attacks of all the teams, the closest one to challenging Punjab's bowling attack is RCB. Rajasthan Royals have great opening bowlers, but then the other bowlers are good, but I don't know. Like Bishnoi is a wicket taker for sure. I think now this is where you have to introduce batting, right? The other
Yeah.
side of the squad. And that's where Rajasthan Royals falls, I feel. RCB has the batting to challenge Punjab, and we may get a repeat of the finals, especially with the way Kohli's been playing at the top. And RCB also have the ability to swap players like for like. They did that with Salt in the game against GT, where Salt, I think, was injured, I believe, and they brought in Jacob Bethel. Didn't score, but bringing in Jacob Bethel for Salt is a great replacement, right? So that's I think where RCB and Punjab Kings have advantages, and I think you said it too. Punjab Kings have good replacements as well. So between the two, it is tough. It is tough between choosing between Punjab Kings and RCB for me. I feel RCB is really playing well, and their middle order has been in form as well. Patidar has been scoring. He's been able to score right off the blocks. David has been doing his stuff at the end as well. And Krunal Pandya in the game against GT, it could have been shaky in that chase towards the end. I think they were 4 or 5 down after Kohli got out. And it was David and Krunal Pandya at the crease, and that could have gone either way. But Pandya held his own, and they ended up winning the game. So they look rounded as well.
Yeah, I see what you mean there. And as you mentioned, they're obviously two captains in their form, leading their teams appropriately. I do want to see, like, I do want to revisit this closer to the end of the tournament, before the playoffs, because I think what you mentioned earlier, when a team peaks, it's super important, right? You want to peak at the right time. We'll hear that all the time in tournaments. You see, especially Arshdeep Singh, slower start to the tournament, sort of getting into the wickets now. I do hope that's going to increase as we goes towards the end of the tournament. But as you mentioned, Hazelwood's back. If it goes in the playoffs, I think the matchup that we all would love to see is Shreyas Iyer versus Hazelwood, because we know Hazelwood loves getting him out. So I think, yeah, if they go in the finals, whether in the semis or the finals, it'll be great to see that matchup, because I think, yeah, from like to like, Arshdeep Singh versus Kohli, there'll be some great matchups in that final.
The other contender I see that's starting to gain some traction and form is Sunrisers Hyderabad. I know we talked about how, for lack of a better word, not so good their bowling attack is. I was going to use other words, but I'm not going to. I'm going to be professional here. But their bowling is they're starting to find something with their bowling. It's ever since they changed and they brought in Praful Hinge and Saqib Hussain into that attack. Something happened. The bowling seems to be coming together. Remember, Pat Cummins is scheduled to come back soon, and if he comes back into that bowling attack, that suddenly you have a stronger bowling attack. Ehsan Malinga out of nowhere has become this bowler for the death where he's able to extract reverse swing on those pitches. And he's been taking timely wickets. He's been not going for too many runs off late either. So you throw Patrick Cummins into that, along with their spinners seem to be able to hold their own. Harsh Dubey and I think it's Shivam Kumar, who have been bowling well. Maybe not big wicket takers, but they're able to have good overs here and there, take the wicket when it's needed. You throw Pat Cummins into that bowling lineup, and suddenly you have a strong bowling attack, because Pat Cummins, you could say, is in the same level as a Jasprit Bumrah. Of course, Jasprit Bumrah is probably a few levels above him because it's just Jasprit Bumrah, but Pat Cummins is probably the next level below that, along the same lines of Hazelwood and some of the other overseas bowlers that are bowling well this season.
I see what you mean, and yeah, we've seen it in the results as well. One thing I would add is, Cummins coming back, right? Coming back, is he going to be 100% right out the gate? That's a question mark. But to your point, though, the bowling attack will get better if Cummins comes in. But I'm still not convinced. I still think the team is shaky. I still think if you get 2, 3 wickets in the power play against them, it's tough for SRH to come back. Without, again, that's like putting the bowling option, the bowling issues to the side. But I think if you get 2, 3 wickets in the power play for SRH, it may be tough, because I think, again, they're a one gear team. I think they go ham or they just don't go. Whereas I think Punjab with Shreyas Iyer in the middle, he's able to like switch the gears. And I think he's able to navigate situations maybe a little bit better than I would say some of the SRH batters.
A person I forgot to give some flowers to is Nitish Kumar Reddy. I forgot to mention him. He has put on some pace. He's bowling 140 plus, and now he's a legitimate bowler for SRH. That's another option that they have. And now with the batting, I know what you mean. They go ham all the time, but their batters are all in form. If you look at their top four, they're all in form. Aniket Varma has had good cameos here and there. NKR has had a couple of cameos here and there. Once again, you throw Pat Cummins in, it gives you another batting option at the end who can, slog a few here and there. And amongst those top four, you need one of them to go big, and that's the game. So if I look at SRH versus Punjab Kings, so they have already had a head-to-head. It was on April 11th, so a couple of weeks ago. Sunrisers put up 219 against that bowling attack. Against bowling attack of Arshdeep Singh, Xavier Bartlett, Marco Jansen, Vijay Kumar Vaishak, and UZ Chow. Okay, they made 219. I would argue and say the only reason, one of the main reasons they lost the game is because SRH's bowling attack in that game wasn't so good. This was before they shuffled their bowling attack. So you had Jaydev Unadkat, you had Harsha Patel, your favorite 0 for 40 bowlers.
Jeez.
So
Harshal
they're
Patel went
not in the team
40.
right now.
Harshal Patel, that game went 2 for 40.
There you go. 2 overs, you mean? 2 overs for 40.
Sorry, 2 overs of 40. Sorry about that. Yes.
Yeah, so there you go. So the batting fired in that game, the bowling didn't, and it did seem like Punjab easily won that game, courtesy Shreyas Iyer. But if you throw in this bowling attack that SRH has, add Pat Cummins to it, that will be an interesting matchup.
It'll be interesting for sure. I do agree with that. But I do think that Punjab's batting is just at a different level right now. I think the way, Priyansh Arya is batting, the way Prabhsimran Singh is batting, the way Cooper Connolly, and then we didn't even get to Shreyas Iyer yet, right? I do see what you said earlier, the top 3, 4 is kind of heavy, but I think these players are in the form of their lives, right? And Punjab is one of those teams, they have a chip on their shoulder, obviously being so close last year, not smelling gold. I do think it just, again, as I said in our other podcast, sports is very poetic. I just think that this is Punjab's year.
All right, well, we'll just have to wait and see as the season unfolds. We are halfway through, so it's a good place to think about these conversations as the second half of the season unravels, as teams start to fight for those playoff spots. So let's see how it goes. So talking about some interesting narratives from the last week that occurred, I think you wanted to talk a little bit about Gujarat Titans and how they pace their innings. I think you weren't too happy with the way they go about their batting.
Yeah, I think Gujarat Titans is maybe caught up in the T20 format, not of 2012 or 2014, but I would say the T20 format of 2019, 2020. T20 has evolved even rapidly in the last 4 years. So if you look at today's game against RCB, um, you know, they were, I think, 12 overs in or 13 overs in. I think they're about 10 runs per over with no wickets out. Let's just take a moment there. Getting through the power play with no wickets and you're maybe 10 runs, 12 runs and over is great, but I think you should keep going. I think you should play like a Punjab or play like an SRH where if your openers make it through the power play, they should have the license to go for every other ball, right? I think it's their duty, and we know the fields change, but I just feel like in this day and age, a score of 200 on a place in a place that's kind of flat is likely par. So you need to go way more, especially if you have wickets in hand. We know how strong batting lineups are, and we know that if the team is chasing, they need a really, really good power play to get back into the game if they're trying to chase 200, right? You get like I don't know, an 80, 90 in the power play, or maybe 8 overs in, and the game is pretty much on the chasing side at that point.
How much of that has to do with the fact that Gujarat's batting lineup is so top heavy? They're so dependent on their top three. They don't really have a lot to speak of in the middle order and the lower order. You saw it in today's game. Jason Holder is batting at 5, and I understand it's his first game. That Washington Sunder's batting at 4. Now, he seems good enough, but again, you wouldn't think of these players batting at those numbers. And then Shah Rukh Khan hasn't done much all season, and we saw for the first time in a long time, Rahul Tewatia is not got dropped. He didn't play this game. And so and that's like he's been a consistent person in that lineup. So they're having batting issues. So if you look at today, sorry, the game against RCB as you mentioned, where Jason Holder came at 5. After that, you're talking Shah Rukh Khan at 6, Rashid Khan at 7. Rashid Khan is a number 8. He's not a number 7. Number 8 at best. And Shah Rukh Khan hasn't proven a whole lot. So I wonder how much that has an impact in the way that they're approaching their innings. Because you're right, Shubman Gill could have gone harder. Yeah, I know he mentioned at the presser apparently that you were telling me how he said that he wanted Sai or Sai should have given him the strike more in the power play. Well, okay, that's fine and all, but you could have still gone for a higher strike rate, and that wasn't the case. Maybe it was that fear of a wicket, two quick ones, and the batting's going to collapse. You saw that in a previous game. I don't have it in front of me, but I think it was the game before this where the top 3, 4 did not fire, and that was that for them for that game. I think it was the one against
Mumbai. It was Mumbai.
Mumbai. That's right. That's right. They were chasing 200, didn't fire. Game over.
Yeah, I think that's where you mentioned earlier, Sai Sudarshan getting out on the first ball, and then Gill, being shaky in the power play, and then Butler getting out after 6 deliveries. Yeah, at that point, to your point, you have you have Washington Sundar coming in. Don't get me wrong, Glenn Phillips is also part of the squad. Let's be honest here, but he hasn't really been his natural self. And then Sundar coming in at 4. Come on, you're right. Like going for the IPL, we know Sundar is great, and he's very malleable. We've seen him batting in so many different positions and in so many different formats, but in the IPL, Washington Sundar is not your fourth batter. Let's be real. There's so much talent out there. It just doesn't fit. Yeah, to your point, the Mumbai Indians game, getting all out for 100. It just goes to maybe just following a template that's maybe 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah. And I don't know what they could do with their team. Part of me thinks they should bat Glenn Phillips at number 4. Bat him at number 4, bat Washi at 5. And now that as I say, they've probably tried that and it's failed. But I think that's their best option where they have 4 out and out batters at the first 4. And then you get Washi in. And I guess you have to rely on someone like a Shah Rukh Khan or a Tavatia because you don't have many options
Romario Shepherd's
outside of
gone.
that. Yeah, but then you're talking another overseas, right? So then he's
Yeah.
got to come in for Glenn Phillips. That's why Jason Holder played today. He came in for Glenn Phillips, and that's another problem they have. Their 3 overseas slots are locked. Rashid Khan, you can't drop him. Kagiso Rabada, you can't drop him. And
Ross
Josh
Butler.
Butler, you can't drop him. He's been playing well. He's been scoring runs. So you only have one slot to play with to figure out that balance. And the problem is their Indian batting outside of Sai Sudarshan and Shubman Gill is weak.
Yeah, you're right. Tawatia, who, I think was maybe literally 2021, 2022, is batting out of his socks. But yeah, you kind of see that gap here as well, right? You need those domestic players to step up, especially, as you pointed out a few episodes ago, if they step up, it really changes the complexion of the team. And we're not seeing that today.
So moving gears to some of the bottom riders here of the table. KKR, you said it best. Don't kick a dog while it's down and injured. But Lucknow and Mumbai seems to be joining them at the bottom there, and they're struggling to find combinations. LSG seems to be out of sorts. There doesn't seem to be any camaraderie or chemistry amongst the team and the players. Punt seems out of form. I personally think that he should just focus on his batting and keeping and make someone else a captain. You have 3 other captains in that team, 4 if you include Badoni. So they can definitely be others that can take over the rem and take over the reins as captain, and he just focus on his batting and bowling. But they seem a little lost right now with their combination, and so does Mumbai. But we'll start with LSG first.
Yeah, no, LSG, I think you said it at the top. I think you said it best. Like, they just seem like there's no camaraderie. It does seem like, again, as I mentioned in the last pod, top down. We know how the owner is. We know how the owner's interactions with Bunt has been visually. So yeah, and then you've seen the players playing as well. It does seem like players are in their head. They're afraid to make mistakes. and they're just not playing well. It just seemed like, for example, players like Nicholas Puran, players like Bunt, they're just not mentally there. Usually these players who are that dynamic, they need to be mentally free. They need to be able to take risks. They need to be able to play with confidence. And as you rightly pointed out, that team is lacking confidence right now, whether it's too much pressure externally, whether it's, just being in the middle of the pack, lower the pack right now, and they're really trying to, show what they're worth. It does seem like LSG is struggling on every cylinder possible.
The other team that's struggling right now is Mumbai Indians. I mean, what's not helping is Rohit Sharma's injury, so they had to change their combination at the top. They dropped Ryan Rickleton because of QDK's fabulous 100 in his first game, and then they're now seem to be searching for an Indian opener, and Mumbai doing what they do best, pulling guys out of nowhere. Something to say about this gentleman that they brought in, but he doesn't seem to be finding his gear right now. He looks out of sorts. Maybe he finds something in if he gets another game. But that aside, they again are struggling to find some combination that would work well for the long run. They're trying different combos. They brought in Sherfin Rutherford one game, and in the other game they brought in Mitch Santner. Skies hot and cold, and the games that they won have been single-handed performances that won
Yep.
them the game. Tilak Varma is one of them, right? If it wasn't for his 100, everybody else was sort of like mid during that game. If it wasn't for his 100, they weren't going to score 200.
No, I agree. I agree. And like, we talked about this earlier in earlier pods. You look at Mumbai's top 11 or best 11 currently. Still, without Rohit Sharma, you would give the emphasis on the batting, right? Their batters from a game sheet perspective, unreal. Right? QDK, you have Namandir, Srikumar Yadav, Tilak Verma, Hardik Pandya, and then Rutherford. That's some solid players. But I think out of them, maybe you can argue two or three are in form, right? Well, Hardik Pandya, has he had a big innings this IPL? Probably not. Namandir, less so. Srikumar Yadav, he's still yet to be what he, once was. It does seem like the team that has those big, this does seem like Mumbai, who has those big batters, they're not batting to their potential. And then the bowlers, which has always been a little deficient, obviously putting aside Bumrah, um, are you really gonna get 10 wickets off of Shalder or off of Bhagat, off of Kumar, right? And then obviously let's not forget Bumrah is out of form. So if even from a bowling perspective, they were light, but if Bumrah's not in form, they're even less than light. So I just think that Mumbai is just top down. It's just not looking good.
Yeah, I think they're having issues with their pace bowling. Their spinners look okay. Gasanfar is finding some
Yeah.
rhythm. He's been good in the last few games. Satner's been good as well. He's mixing up his variations really well. Hardik Pandya has been out of form for them with the ball. He hasn't been doing too much with the ball. Ashwani Kumar did well against GT. Krish Bhagat seems to be a new player they're trying. So they're struggling for combinations with the ball because remember who you mentioned who they left out? Shardul Thakur. They left out Deepak Chahar. They've left out Trent Bolt. This was their starting seam attack alongside Bumrah. So they're definitely trying to find something out of this season right now, and it's not looking like it's going to be playoff bound.
No, not at all. And you kind of saw the disappointment from the Abani families as well during the game with CSK. You saw, Ananta Babi and Abani leave mid innings. And if you saw the gesture, he's telling the crowd to leave too. Because with that sort of batting collapse, it's not good. Mumbai is one of the most coveted professional franchise in the world in sports, let alone cricket. In sports, Mumbai Indians is well known, and their
They're
brand.
talking the same level as like a Lakers or a Boston Celtics.
No, it's true. It's true. Manchester United, those were the aspirations of Mumbai. They're at that level now when it comes to cricket, and this popularity brand that's all up there as well. And they're having a terrible, terrible not this season, Tehran, last few years.
Yeah, they have a lot to think about, a lot to consider if they want to turn around the season, or else they just got to find something to prepare for next season. Okay, so looking at bold predictions for next week, what is one prediction that you'd like to see take place?
One prediction, I think I just want to see a fifer. I think we saw some forfers coming up. right? We saw, for example, yesterday, Akil Hussain with a four-fer against Mumbai. So first of all, good to see some spinners back in the action and some wickets, right? But I do want to see a fifer. As you see bowlers getting back into the rhythm, Harshdeep Singh getting back into the rhythm, I do want to see a fifer. So hey, let's hope that next week brings a fifer because we've seen a lot of batting, we've seen a lot of hundreds. Let's get the
Yeah.
bowlers back in.
Yeah, I want to see a fifer, and you know what? Throw a hat trick in there too.
Hey,
It's
hey,
always good.
it's always good. It's always good. We do got some great matchups coming up this week. We got DC versus Punjab. We got Rajasthan versus SRH. Tomorrow is on Saturday as well, and then we also have CSK and GT. But let's not forget the cracker on Sunday, LSG versus KKR.
The bottom feeders going at it. That should be a fun game to watch for sure. The game I'm looking forward to is the CSK game to see if we get Tala back. It's been talked about. Let's see if it happens. We're seeing footage of him donning the gloves. My question is, who does he come in for in the CSK team? How does that adjust their combination? That'll be interesting to see because I feel that if he is playing, he has to keep. You're not putting him in the field, which means Sanju's got to field.
Well, you could no, yeah, because you're not using him as an impact player.
Yeah, definitely not. So it's going to be interesting how yeah.
Yeah, hey, no, you're right. Just to continue, that, gonna be interesting. Hey, but hey, CSK will find a way because, as they say, Tala for a reason.
Great way to wrap up the pod. Looking forward to the upcoming week. Until next time, that stumps.